So, if you want to be a citizen in the UK, the current rules and the migration policies in the UK might undergo massive transformations. And this video is going to be for you if you are somebody who is planning to come to the UK, work as a healthcare professional, and settle down with your family and your children. Because just a few days ago, the leader of the Conservative Party, that is Kemi, has gone ahead and made a few important changes that she would like to make in the UK should she come into power in the next UK election. Now, I know your concern is going to be, Nikita, that's way far ahead. Now, I know you're going to say, Nikita, they are not the ruling power in the UK. However, I think this is really important if you are somebody who's planning to come to the UK or are already in the UK and are planning to apply for your ILR or for your British citizenship in the next few years so that you can just plan better. So in today's video, we will be discussing exactly what are the updates, what are the political parties saying, what does the current government have to say about it, and if potentially these changes were to come in, what can you do as an international healthcare professional to safeguard yourself and ensure that you are not caught off guard by these changes in immigration policies? So let's get right into the content of today's video. But before we move ahead, I just want to remind you that if you already haven't subscribed to my channel or followed me on YouTube, now's your turn to do so. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. So let's get into the details. So just to give you a bit of context about what is really the political situation in the UK and again in terms of immigration. So right now, as most of y'all know, there was an election that happened sort of in August last year. And as a result of it, the Labour Party came into power. So before that, the Conservative Party, which was led by Rishi Sunak, was in power. But right now, the political party called Labour government is in power, and it is obviously led by Keir Starmer. But what is really important to know that obviously while all of these parties were there, another new party has come into the action, and this is known as the Reform Party. Now, the Reform UK Party has gained increasingly popular in the last few months. As you can see on your screens, it says right there that the Reform Party almost beat the Labour Party as well in terms of popularity, and these were the results that were shown sort of just last week. Now, why is this surprising? Is because the Reform UK Party has very strong opinions about immigration in the UK and the role of immigrants for the UK's economy. Now, one of the reasons the Reform Party has gained all of its popularity is because of its 11 key policy rules. And again, from the 11 key policy rules, the most important one, which is right there up on their manifesto, is about immigration. Just to pull up the screen right here to show you what exactly it says. So two of the UK's reform core 5 pledges are to do with immigration, and the party says that it would freeze non-essential immigration, but concedes that there would be exceptions with those in healthcare that are considered essential. Now, one of the ways it does that is by hoping to increase the national insurance to up to 20% for foreign workers as compared to 13.8% for British citizens. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, national insurance is a part of the sort of tax that you need to pay to the government every month from your salary. It is a deduction that you cannot avoid. But obviously, as you can see right here, one of the things that they are thinking about is by increasing that national insurance, it would mean that employers need to pay more money as taxes for foreign employees, which will obviously be not a very sustainable sort of path moving forward for employers. So that might mean that immigration might go down. Now, again, they have various other things that they want to speak about, and I don't want to go into massive detail about it because obviously you can read all of this information because I'll leave the link for that in the description below. But what's important is that in order to tackle all of this growing popularity with the Reform UK government, the Conservative Party, which was previously led by Rishi Sunak but is now led by Kemi, has obviously gone on to take a very strong stance on immigration. Now, again, just to recap a bit, obviously, as many of y'all knew, that the Conservative government, which was led by Rishi Sunak, obviously realized that there was a lot of immigration happening, and in order to control it, had taken several steps throughout last year. And as a result of this, immigration has dropped considerably in the last few months. Again, if you want more information about it, do not forget to check out this video, which has all of the information you need. But coming down to what Kemi has to say about this, let's just go into massive details because it has led up to 4 to 5 key points that I want to share in this video, especially in terms of how it might impact you if their government had to come into power in the next few years. So the first and the most important thing is that they have said that most of the immigrants would need to show that their income is high enough to ensure they and their families are considered net contributors rather than a burden to the economy. So right now in the UK, you can obviously opt for something known as public funds, which means that you have access to social housing or you have access to some other funds. Now, as a part of our work visas, we are generally not allowed access to public funds, which is quite straightforward. However, there might be many people who might access public funds either through legal immigration routes or illegal immigration routes. And that means that from this policy document that they are suggesting is that they don't want that to be there. And if you are accessing public funds, then you will not be allowed to apply for your ILR or your citizenship. The second thing that they want to say is obviously people with criminal convictions will automatically be barred from applying, because again, when you go on to apply for your citizenship and your ILR, you need a sort of good standing certificate, almost something like a bit of a police clearance to say that you have no criminal convictions against you. And guys, please, this can be the smallest thing. So please make sure that you're not getting caught on any of these, because that can create a bit of a hurdle in your immigration plans in the UK. The next thing they've said is that any of the people who are arriving to the UK on work visas but who end up dropping out of work will have their visas cancelled and will face deportation. Also, rules will be brought in to prevent people who enter UK illegally or who overstay their visa from being allowed to settle here permanently. So again, these are another few points that you've got to keep in mind, especially if you are somebody who is planning to come into the UK, because make sure you're not overstaying the length of your visa. If your visa is expiring, make sure to go back to your home country and reapply for another visa, because if you do overstay on your visa, then it definitely looks bad in your ILR application or in your citizenship application. And one of the last things that I think personally was something that shocked me, because I read this news when I was sort of in the gym working out, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? Is that the new conditions for those seeking to gain British citizenship would be imposed, this increasing the waiting period from 1 to 5 years. So right now, the way the process works is that you work on your work visa for 5 years and you get something known as the ILR, which is the indefinite leave to remain. You stay on the ILR for up to a year and then you can apply for British citizenship, provided you fulfilled a few categories of requirements. However, according to Kimmy's plan, what she's suggesting is that you need to be working on a work visa for 10 years before you apply for your ILR. And even then, you need to be on your ILR for 5 years before you apply for British citizenship. Now, I would like to know your thoughts about this. If this were to come into fruition, do you think you would be applying to come to the UK as a healthcare professional, or would you be considering a few other countries? Let me know in the comments below, because I would be keen to understand what your thoughts are. Now that we've understood all of what people are suggesting in terms of policy changes, let's just understand what the current Labour government has to say about it. So the current Labour government has obviously gone on to say that they do not know of any reasons such as citizenship or ILR applications being made as one of the reasons why the immigration is so high. So that is why they are not really considering it at the minute. Now, this is a softer way to say that they don't believe that all of these sort of reasons are the main reasons why immigrants are choosing to come to the UK. That is, citizenship is a main reason to come to the UK as an international healthcare professional. And that is why they think that all of these changes may not need to be put into place or may not be the most appropriate. That being said, I do hope that they continue to maintain this stance, because again, what can happen is potentially they might get pressured from the other governments, or because they want to retain the votes that they already have, they might feel like they need to bring in some immigration policy changes, which might be quite strict or harsh, as we have seen right from the Reform UK and the Conservative Party. So just a few tips of advice and things in terms of how this can impact you. The first thing I would suggest is, if you are already in the UK, what you want to do is, if you are in time to make your application for your ILR or for your PR before 2029, go ahead and make those applications in the nick of time. Do not leave them for much later, because as you can see, the immigration policies in the UK are ever evolving from the last few years, and that is what it might look like post 2029 as well. So if you are in a position where you can make those applications and you've finished the required amount of time, then go ahead and make those applications, and please do not delay it. The second thing I want to say is for people who are considering to come to the UK, whether you're a student or you're an international healthcare professional. Now, as you could see from the Reform Party's manifesto, they obviously suggested that immigration would still be open for healthcare professionals, but I would take that with a pinch of salt because obviously they are very harsh with their immigration rules in the UK. So considering that, again, taking it with a pinch of salt, I would say if you are planning to come to the UK either in 2025 or in 2026, do be mindful about these changing immigration policies. Now, what I essentially mean is obviously if you are a healthcare professional, you've done this for a living, you know you want to be a healthcare professional, then you are in a good space to obviously come to the UK and work. Now, again, to work in the UK, you need your HCPC registration and there's an online application process. If you need help with it, feel free to book a one-to-one session with me where we can go through the details of your application and your HCPC registration. But that being said, because you're still within the lines of 2025, 2026, you might be coming up for your ILR or your PR by that sort of 2029 mark, which means that you might still be protected under the current rules. Now, that being said, what you do need to remember is that when the salary thresholds were increased earlier this year under the Labour Party and the Conservative Party previously, those rules were applied to everybody, even people who were living and working in the UK previously. So they weren't for people moving forward, they were applied for generally everybody in the UK. So that, keeping in mind that sort of concept, if any rules changes around PR and ILR, it might mean that even people who are living in the UK might be affected by it. So keep that in mind, guys, that it's not going to be all bad news for people who are just going to be coming right now onwards in the UK. It might also affect people who are living in the UK on work visas or study visas or PSW visas or dependent visas. The final tip of advice I want to give you all is healthcare profession is something that is being recognized as a bit of a shortage occupation across several countries. Now, whether that is New Zealand or Australia or the UK, it doesn't matter. So again, if you are somebody who is in a position to decide and make informed choices about where you would like to be, do consider the immigration policies of other countries and see if they are more favorable or suitable for your own personal needs. It's not like UK is the only sort of place that is offering healthcare professionals an opportunity to make it home by working over here. There are also other countries, so make sure you are exploring those options. Again, if you need help with that, do drop me a comment down, but also get in touch with me and we can try and see what is the best situation for you. But that's it from today's video, guys. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, do not forget to drop it a like. Take care.